Hey, so doing another drive time video, and I'm just I started on the newest Legend of Drizzt book, and he's going back to the Underdark and all that stuff. It has a lot to do with, like, you know, inner house warfare and stuff, kind of cool stuff. But it got me thinking back to pretty much my very first D&D adventure. So I figured that'd probably be like another just good like story to share. So it's about my first character in his like first adventure, and his name was Savage, and I talked about him in the was it I forgot what I called it, but yeah, in the video where I talk about Captain Marvelous killing everybody, yeah, but that guy. So he started off as, I just wanted to really make a guy who fought way differently than anything else, and I just wanted to make a unique kind of thing. So, you know, I came up with the idea of making him a monk and all that kind of stuff. So I ended up coming out with him being a luchador, because I threw a whole bunch of stuff together and that's what came out. So yeah, we're going, he starts off, he's got like a scarf around his face, and he's got goggles because he's had his mask taken from him, so he's disgraced, so he tries to still hide his face and everything. And Captain Craw, who's a big drunk minotaur, picks him up for the crew, and he's like, we're going on expedition in the Underdark, you want to help? I'm like, cool, for money, yeah. And I don't remember all the specifics, but yeah, he's with this whole crew, and there's a whole bunch of different guys, including Terog, who is the second craziest thing that's ever, like, second craziest character that ever happened in D&D. The first being Jouffre, of course, but Jouffre was very much based off Terog, and Terog's backstory is that he was basically a Dr. Moreau, like, Frankenstein monster that Craw found, and it's like a goat folk mixed with like a fucking feral, like, just insane monster goat folk, and he's got like wings attached to his back, and he can turn into bears and shit, and he's like, he fights when he's got like extendo arms and extendo face, and he has like barbed wire wrapped around his face, like, he's crazy. And then there's Beldar, which is just a dwarf cleric. There was Vin, who was a really mean Harstaff assassin. Then there was Delicia, who was, she's everything. She had like a little bit of everything in her. Mostly she was a werewolf, elf, wizard. So she was pretty set no matter what. And here comes Savage, and he, like everybody else, was epic level, which means you are like supremely badass. Like, you have been through the shit, and you've gotten so many levels that they're like most of the time the game just kind of goes, all right, well, your guy's just epic, I'm not gonna fuck with you anymore. But then they've started realizing, well, people want to go even higher, so they started having expansions so that you can go past epic and stuff. And here comes Savage, and he's level 5. So he's not really that good at anything, but still, he's my dude, so that's what I had. And we start off going through the Underdark, and we go into this place, it's called the Sea of Gahern, which is this big, vast, basically ocean underground, which the Underdark is a place that is just complete blackness. It is like underground, just a bunch of caves, and it's the most hostile place on the planet, that you can think of. So that's where we're going. I forget why we were going down there exactly, but I was on board. And we're going across the Sea of Gahern, and we had to find like a way to get across, because the sea is super toxic, and it's basically like floating acid, and like it's like if you distilled anger and sadness and despair and stomach acid, that's what this thing was. So if you fell into it, you would basically just kind of like give up and just let yourself sink into this stuff as it dissolves you whole. So it's cool shit. And there's some kind of monster living in the sea as well. And like, so every week we would kind of do a thing where we're going along this like bridge that's kind of broken up along it, and we would be fighting things, and then like every once in a while a big tentacle would come up and we'd have to like, you know, fight it as it's like slapping people around and stuff. I couldn't really do anything because the tentacle was fucking badass and it was hard to hit and it was just super tough. So I would be like, you know what, you guys get the tentacle, I'll deal with the drow, because I can actually fight them. I actually fight them pretty well, because I was leveling up like crazy, like just from just how that works. If you played Borderlands, something like that, you would know, like, you play your first level guy playing with a 20th level guy, you like slingshot. So like my dude's main thing with that be that he grabs somebody and like monkey flips them off of the bridge into this water and just watch them just like go, oh no, and just die. Cool stuff. Really liked it. And so we're going through this and we're fighting all these things, and then we get to more of these tentacles and they start releasing these spores, and they start like, and then like you have to do will saves, otherwise these spores like take over your mind. And we're fighting like drow that have like gotten these spores all over. We're fighting like orcs and ogres and stuff that have it on them too. And yeah, cool stuff. And what else? I'm trying to think. And then we get to one point where we find you know, we clear out a whole bunch of drow, and we're in this big open cavern, and we find like a drow priestess with like all kinds of spores all over her, and like she's just writhing on the ground and babbling insane. And this is before I personally knew how fucking evil drow were. If you don't know, drow are dark elves. They're basically like elves, except their skin is literally like Sharpie black, and they have like white hair, and they live in the Underdark, and they are evil as all fucking get out. That's what this Legend of Driss book's like. It's the cool thing about Driss, she's like one of the only non-evil drow, even though like if you go to any other book they probably have 2 or 3 non-evil drow too. Whatever. Point is, drow are fucked. So nobody else in the party has any sympathy. But since I played Savage as much as I could as me, and that would be, I don't know what the fuck is happening. Please explain. So that's what my guy does. Like, they find this drow chick and she's like babbling insane. So like Karag goes, all right, just put her out of her misery. So Tarok goes over just to fucking curb stomp her, and like here comes Savage. She's like, no, wait. Well, why don't we try to like heal her or something? Maybe we can, you know, like help her. She can help us find whatever we're trying to find. And I guess that was actually what we're supposed to do, because then like once we heal her, she's like, oh, why not? She tries like to manipulate us, but everybody's too high level, so they're just like, no, fuck you, we're not doing that. So then she's basically like, okay, well, here's the deal. I want to ascend I can help you get what you need to, as long as you help me ascend to the matron motherhood of my house. And sorry. And funny thing about that is, like, drow are super backstabby. Like, there's a law against murder. You're not supposed to murder anybody. But the law above that is don't get caught murdering somebody. So they'll basically go, oh man, is the person here that stabbed this person to death? No? Well, I guess he got away. That's basically how crime investigation goes as a drow. So what we have to do as Iblith, which is just anything that is not drow, is just a pile of dog shit to them. And we need to sneak into this drow city, which is hard because all drow are really sneaky, like you know, it's trying to sneak past the sneaker. You can't sneak sneaker. And we have to get into there, get into the house, and we have to kill off these certain people before like the guard knows. And then, because if the guard finds out, then like, you know, the town guard or whatever, then the whole place will get fucked over. The chick will get fucked over. It's no good. So he devised a plan where, like, Crawl would go fight this one girl, Tara would go fight this one person, Vin would go fight this one person, Delicia would go fight this one person, and me, or Savage, and Beldar would go fight the weapons master. And I didn't know what that actually meant at the time, but now I do. Basically, they were like, all right, you're gonna go fight the best fighter there. Like, you're gonna go fucking hand-to-hand combat against the best hand-to-hand combat this place has to offer. Cool. I mean, of all the people that we could have fought, it was probably the easiest person, you know? But, like, when it comes to it, like Delicia had basically a magic fight against a drow. But since she's so fucking good at magic, it wasn't anything. So, you know, Vin just sneaks into the room and stabs a person like 36 times before they even know that there was a person in the room. That kind of thing. So, like, to them, it's nothing. But to me, it's, I have to fight the best fighter in this house. So I'm like, all right. And, like, they kind of played it out to where it's like everything is happening at once, but we're going to play it at different times. So, like, you know, first Craw went and fought his person. Like, he, like, opens up the door and, like, fights this chick. Delicia, like, magically opens this door and she fights this chick. And, like, they do it all, like, silently and quickly. And then I go, me and Beldar, who's a, you know, a dwarf cleric, get to this room, get to this door, and I was like, you know, as a monk in Illustrator, I would find it very horrible for me to try to sneak up on this combatant and fight him unawares. And Beldar goes, you know what? I completely agree. And we just kind of both look at each other and turn to the door and just fucking drop kick it open off the hinges and blast it into this room. And this guy is basically just standing there, like, just like polishing his sword, I guess. As we come in, he's like, oh, fucking go time. And, like, I won initiative and everything, and, like, I'm able to charge up on this guy, and, like, the first thing I do is do my patented monkey flip, which is where I just, like, grab him and then just, like, hurl him, because it's sword stage maneuvers. Sword stage is really cool because they're a lot like, they're like, what would you call them? They're like wizards or any kind of spellcasters, except they're with, like, combat moves. So he's a lot like a luchador. Like, he can run up and do a monkey flip. Like, you know how you see, like, wrestlers do, like one move one time in a match. It's like, he does that. So, like, I run up and monkey flip this dude, and he goes, like, fucking ass over tea kettle straight into a, like, face first into a wall, and then, like, Beldar just fucking sprints over while he's on the ground, just fucking uses all his divine might to smite this motherfucker, like, in the, like, he's, like, at the base of a fucking floorboard, just getting hammered by this fucking dwarf. And as he's finally starting to stand up, then my guy comes charging over. I'm like, the move is called, like, Soaring Dragon Strike. And I'm like, he fucking does this Savage Dragon Strike. And it's just gonna be him, like, doing a flying knee. And I'm gonna try to bust his face against the wall, too. Roll it fucking natural 20. So, like, this thing already does an absurd amount of damage. So, it's like I get to do, like, I don't know, I get to do fuckloads of damage to this guy. And, like, he's like, yeah, sure enough, as this guy's finally, like defending himself up to a vertical basis, here comes fucking Savage flying over this dwarf, like, right over his head, and just kneeing this guy's face into the wall, and it fucking explodes. I was like, fuck yes. That was honestly one, like, just that whole sequence was one of the most, like, memorable things. That was the first thing I ever did in D&D, and that, like, sticks with me, just because of how, like, and especially when I go back and learn how awesome, like, that was, like, how insane all of that was. So yeah, and then eventually we do some more stuff, and we, you know, everything goes off that hitch. We get like a second ship for Cross Fleet. Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff. But yeah, that was the main thing. Was Savage's first epic battle. So yeah, thanks for listening. I really like doing these. They're like just like spouting off old D&D stories off the top of my head, just going back and remembering shit. Yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, thanks for listening.